let's get started here. So, okay, wait. I feel like we're a little bit talky right now. Would you just do this? While I go to push this, would you just turn to the person you're sitting next to? If you went to answer that question, what is the thing you want to have for dinner tomorrow night? Ready? You've got 18 seconds. Right? As I go. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time is up. Okay, the correct answer, of course, you guys all know this, was sushi. That was the correct answer, and so if you didn't have that answer, you're wrong. That's all there is to it. So tonight we're going to start in Isaiah chapter 13. Now, before we do this, just because it's that time of year where we're starting to pick up some people that are coming back from the schools, that are graduating from high school, I just want to take just a moment to talk about something here. If you know who this is, will you raise your hand? Or who these people are? Anybody know who these people are? Elder, this is what I expect from you, greatness. Who are these people?
That's three guys over the bar, and then
Elder. Okay, sister, do you know? Oh, does nobody know who this is? Diego? That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The little short white guy is not Shaq. Elder Perry, do you know who this is?
Is it his coach from UCLA?
Yes.
Is it John Wooden?
John Wooden, yes. Okay, just so that you know, these coaches, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, his real name was Lou Alcindor, but he changed it when he joined the Nation of Islam. And Coach John Wooden, probably one of the greatest team-ups here ever. Coach Wooden was really famous for being just the best coach that ever lived. He had 10 national championships for NCAA. 7 of those were in a row at UCLA. He had 4 perfect seasons. Just so you know, there's been like 3 other teams that have done it. Had perfect seasons. He's had 4 of them. And for men's basketball, he has the record for the most wins in a row. 88 wins in a row is what they were doing. Now, they were in the Pac-10 or Pac-8, whatever it was back then, which, let's just be honest, is not that great. But anyway, I'm just kidding. It's actually a really good one. And this record got broken by the UConn women. Their basketball team went to like 93 or something like that. But this coach, one of the all-time great coaches. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up to you is because I love to think about Institute from the perspective of being a coach, that I'm coaching with you, that we're in practice time together. And so I probably wouldn't say I'm like Coach Wooden. I'd say I'm more like a normal guy. That's the way I would say. Okay, probably more like this, actually. Bald and fat, I know. But now, by the way, anybody know who that coach is, by the way? Okay, good. You don't need to. He worked at a different school that I don't like. Anyway, but coaching is what I think of as what we're trying to do here at Institute. How silly would it be if you showed up to a basketball practice and the coach had the ball the whole time? Think about this. If the coach was dribbling the ball and he's like, wow, now I'm going to show you going through behind my back and then between my legs, and he just started showing some of that, you would be like, this is stupid, right? You'd have to get the ball in your hands. It would make no sense for him to be like, now I'm going to show you how to shoot for the next hour. That would be stupid. You've got to get the ball in your hands. And so tonight, we're going to make quite a few jumps into some different stuff. I'm just going to invite you today to take the ball, to move the ball, jump with us when we jump to some scriptures. It becomes really easy at times to be like, well, I'm just here. Brother Gibbons, he'll make some good comments. But our job, did you say, I don't know about that, Katya? Katya just said, well, I don't know about that. Neither do I, Katya. Man, we always think she's so nice. Anyway, she is nice. I know, you're great, Katya. We love you. But tonight, I'm just going to invite you to grab the ball. just be ready to jump in and help us with this. Okay, so with that, we're going to make our first jump, okay? Not only do we like to go into Isaiah and talk about Isaiah, but those of you that have been here, you know we start by going into the Institute manual. We're going to go into the Institute student manual, Kings through Malachi, into how to understand Isaiah. There's a QR code there. It'll make it faster. Ready? Go there now. Okay. Understanding Isaiah. Just so you know, the green ones are ones that we've hit in the class so far. Blue we haven't hit, but tonight we're going to do the 6th bullet point, understanding the historical setting of Isaiah's writings. Let me bring this up here for you. Scroll down till you get to section E8. That's where we're going to go, is down to E8. That's where we're going to pick up understanding the historical setting. Here's what I'd like you to notice as we're doing this here. I still see a couple of people. Remember, if you can't get your phone to do it, close the app, then take a picture, and it'll get you there. Use the QR code then. Okay, here's the thought I want you to be thinking about here. This is in that section of how to understand Isaiah better. Would you just be thinking about how is ancient Israel similar to modern Israel, us today? What do you notice in this paragraph? So I need somebody that doesn't mind reading nice and loud with a little feeling this paragraph for us. Please, if you play the piano as well as you read that, or you read as well as you play, it'll be awesome. Yeah, please. Okay.
To understand Isaiah, one needs also to understand the historical background of the people among whom he ministered. It is valuable to gain an overall view of the exodus of Israel from Egypt and their wanderings in the wilderness, their covenant with God, their conquest of Canaan, the reigns of the judges and the birth of the kingdom of Israel, the golden age of the great King David, and the division of Israel into two kingdoms. One should learn of Israel's apostasies and the struggle they had with the influence of the nations that surrounded them, and by which they were often led from God. Isaiah used numerous concepts and figures of speech that came directly from that history. It is often necessary to be familiar with Israel's history to see the point that Isaiah was trying to make. It is imperative to view the writings of Isaiah in their proper context, for he often spoke of the conditions of his time and their effect on the Lord's people.
We've talked about in here that one of the things that can be difficult about Isaiah is he can talk about the 3 time periods, right? His time period, the Savior's time period, or the meridian of time, and then the latter days, right? Did you notice anything in there talking about ancient Israel that could be applied to modern Israel? Okay, Diego, give me one.
Okay, so this says right here, it is imperative to view the writings of Isaiah in their proper context, for he often spoke of the conditions of his time and their effect on the Lord's people.
Okay, so why is that like us today?
Well, I would say that, it's very important today because, we are, everybody here is from one of the, 12 tribes of Israel.
Good. Yeah. We are modern Israel, right? I love it. Okay.
Those are our ancestors, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Great. Please.
And the struggle they had with the influence of the nations that surrounded them.
Good catch. Talk about that. Do we struggle here? Because, we're in Washington. We're pretty close to Canada. Is that what we struggle with?
Not particularly.
Do we have any Canadians in here? That's right. Yes, Alex is Canadian. And just ask, I'm the nicest people in the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
So are we made nicer because we're closer to Canada? No. Really, Alex? Are we not nicer than Canada? Is there a big difference? Interesting. So is that what he's talking about? Is that what you were talking about? So what were we talking about?
I was talking more about literal Israel. Or maybe I'm not thinking of the right one. My bad.
No, you're okay. You're there.
Talking about
Okay, can somebody help us? What were you thinking with that, Jeff?
Potentially, maybe this country next to Israel that doesn't like Israel, also known as Iran.
Okay, now keep in mind, when we're talking about this, we're not necessarily talking about the country of Israel. We're talking about the house of Israel, which is God's people, right? Which would mean us in this room, right? So while we could talk about Israel and the conflicts there of that, but the house of Israel, please.
I think now it's more focused on the people of Zion and how we're influenced by like politics and other worldviews. So the nation would be, it could be the United States, but you don't have to look at it that way. It could just be other people that are not members of the church that are bad influences.
Matter of fact, anybody know somebody that's a really nice person until they start talking about politics?
Myself.
Don't point at people. Bam's like me. Yeah, sometimes politics can make things uncomfortable, right? Other thoughts with that? Please.
It's talking about the struggles they had. It's not necessarily has to do with the nation itself, but any outside influences. So social media, sports, your friends, people that see you at work, any influence that's outside of the Lord is an outside influence on the nation of Israel, or the people of Israel.
Absolutely, please.
I just want to focus on the last part of that sentence, which says, and by which they were often led from God. So it's like mostly talking about the influence that they had that took them away from the Lord and Heavenly Father, and away from their covenants that they made with God, to be a righteous people of the house of Israel. That's what it's kind of like focusing on.
Yeah, and I think you're right. That right there, the things that would lead them away from God. I bet we could probably make a really long list of things that could take people away from God, including even some good things.
Like what?
Kasha, that's a good question. Is there a good thing that you could think of that could take somebody away from God? What do you think, sister?
There's a quote, I don't remember who said it, but it said, to worship God is not his gifts. And there's oftentimes that we are given so many gifts, like people around us or anything. And we begin to worship those or them instead of God.
Yeah, I think that's a great thought. Please.
For me, one thing I can think of is being a workaholic, where, like, especially in the medical field and everything, where you get so focused on your practice that you're then distancing yourself from God.
I like that thought. Brother Pastor, did you want to say something on that?
Basically the same thing. Workaholics is hard, but that's something.
Yeah.
Just not using the gifts that God gave you with moderation. Yeah.
I think it's important too, when considering this, thinking about it, is that this historical setting, lots of times, and last week, I can't remember who did it last week, but somebody said, hey, I do know the backstory of that, and it helped us. Knowing that can open things up. But at the same time, I would say to you, don't get too caught up if you don't know every name in every group, if that makes sense. Tyler, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think another good example of like a good thing can be like podcasts of like even like members of the church. Like if that is my go-to for like my source of spiritual nourishment and just like increasing spiritually, it's not going to be enough because that cannot replace just me, the Word, and God.
So wait. So even, I'm just going to throw a name out there, John By the Way, who I love, John By the Way. Can we have too much John By the Way? The answer is no. You cannot have too much John By the Way. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, but if it becomes out of order, right? We've got to love those scriptures and love those. Elder Larson, please.
I just wanted to make a comment on that. One of my mission presidents was talking about how we need to find joy in our own testimonies and finding joy in those things. And he says part of what we need to do to find joy in our own testimony is build it ourselves. And how we do that is by discovery. And And so he talked about how even podcasts can be a way to limit that, because it's their understanding of the scriptures. And it can be revealing, you know. I've listened to John, by the way, and some of the stuff he brings up is very interesting, but it robs you of the experience of finding it out for yourself.
Okay, now, so I don't want to spend all of our time with this. I just wanted to use this to get us into thinking about that as you do it. Today, as we were reading these chapters, I looked up a couple of them to see some of the background. I even got one if we end up at that spot today. But those kind of things are important. Diego, you want to say one more thing before we go off this?
So one of the things that I was just thinking about right now is too much studying, and what I mean by that is when you're like reading something, but then you don't take that and apply it to your own life and then practice those things. So if you spend all of your time like reading and studying, but don't actually go out and practice those things out in real life, then what's the point of actually studying those things in the first place?
Yeah, and I think it's important with this. Okay, so we're going to make our second jump. Okay, let me just point out to you, you might remember that we do have this Google Doc that we have that has the King James Version, the New Revised Standard Version, and the Book of Mormon quotes that it's going to be. The first two chapters we're using tonight also have Book of Mormon ones. So if you want to use that as a tool, you can. If not, we're going to go fast. Ready? Anybody else? I didn't see anybody needing it. Okay, would you go to Isaiah chapter 13 now? So there's a QR code that'll make it a little bit faster for you. Isaiah chapter 13 is where we're going to be. Okay, let's ask that question that's always, you know, my first question with you. How did we do? Some of you, tonight's your first night, you didn't know what we were reading. We're just glad you're here. How many of you read some part or at least some of Isaiah in preparation? Okay, we're not terrible. We're not great, but we're not terrible. Okay, so here's what I want to point out to you. A couple little things in Isaiah. I'm going to spend probably my whole time with you tonight in chapters 13 and 14. They're in the Book of Mormon. That's where I really just want to talk about some things. I want you to look, these are just the chapter summaries at the beginning of the chapter there. Can somebody, I need another reader. Will somebody read chapter 13's one for me? Katya? Okay, so Katya's going to read chapter 13, and then you'll do chapter 14, okay? Katya, go ahead.
The question of thy Lord is a type of the judgment. At the second coming, it will be a day, a wrath of innocence beyond maneuver and fall forever.
Okay, and chapter 14?
Israel will be gathered and enjoy millennial rest. Lucifer was cast out of heaven for rebellion. Israel will triumph over Babylon, the world.
Okay, so because I really do believe in this idea of you guys have to have the ball, we did not get to 50% reading. So we're just going to do this at the beginning here, okay? I'm going to give you about 3 minutes. Time is going too fast. 3 minutes to either chapter that you want to read, thinking about, okay, what strikes you as important or interesting that you'd want to read. Would you just take the next 3 minutes? Now, if you did read, would you find the verse that when I say that magic part of, okay, what are we going to talk about? You're going to be ready to jump in and be like, let's go here, okay? Does that make sense? So you find that part. Everybody else, if you didn't read it, here's your 3 minutes. Ready? Any questions, comments, smart remarks? Okay, you've got 3 minutes to read either chapter 13 or chapter 14. Ready, set, go. Okay, regardless of how far or whatever you made it, would you just do this now? Would you look back over? Would you find the one thing you would talk about if I called on you? Kind of thing, like a verse that stood out to you, a thing that you found interesting. When you found that one thing, will you touch one of your ears? So I know you has got it. When you've got the thing, you're going to touch. These are ears. Some of you seem a little confused. Okay, when you've got your one thing, you're going to touch your ear. Good. Now we're seeing some ear touching. This is good. Good. Some of you are nonchalant about it. It's good. It's some of you, then there's a few of you that just like touching your ear. That's really good. Okay, would you just do this now? Would you turn to a person or two or three that are right around you? If you see somebody sitting without somebody talking to, grab them. Make them slide over, Taylor. Slide down to join. They're nice. They won't hurt you. Wait, here's what I like you to do. Would you, really fast at the beginning here, would you say your name and would you share your favorite candy bar or candy? Ready? You've got 20 seconds to do that part. You gotta go fast. Ready, set, go. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, time was up on that. Correct answer, Lydia. What was the correct answer for candy? Okay.
No, I'll start right there.
What was it? What was the correct answer for candy? What did you say?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Anybody else say chocolate? Nobody else said chocolate?
I mean,
oh. Okay. Okay, here's now what I want you to do. With those people that now you know their name and a little bit, would you just do this? Now, we're not going to get to have a ton of time with this, but would you just turn and say, well, here's the thing that I hope we're going to spend more time talking about. Or what stood out to you in your reading with this, would you just turn and have a little conversation with those people you're sitting next to? Ready, set, go.
Why did you do that first?
You have 30 seconds left. Keep talking. Keep talking. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's come back together. Okay, I'm just curious, did anybody turn to the person or persons they were with and you shared the exact same verse? Did that happen with anybody? Oh, back row. Let's go. Okay, so like I'm just curious, like that seems interesting to me that like back row once. Now were you guys all working together or do we have a couple of groups? We have the married couple, then the single guys. Sorry, brother. Okay, so I'm just curious, who wants to talk about it first? Which one did you go to?
We went to Isaiah 14:14.
Oh, let's go there. Did anybody else go to chapter 14 around verses 14? Those verses in there? Okay, so a few of you. Quite a few actually, okay. Go, if you would, take us to verse 14. And did you guys all go to that? Okay, good. So let's just talk about chapter 14. Yeah, this, I feel like I want to pull in verses 12 through 16. Is that okay?
That's great.
Okay, 12 through 16. Some of you are happy with that. Okay, so since the brethren, who's going to make the comment? Okay, good. Type. Will you read for us? Let's just get us all on the same page. If you'd read verses 12 through 16 for us, and then, oh man, brother in the middle, I forgot your name. I'm so sorry.
It's McKay.
McKay, that's right. McKay, will you then just talk about what you guys talked about with it, okay? Okay, please.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Okay, wait, real fast. I'm just going to pause you for just 1 second. Who are we talking about here? Lucifer, right? Which is, what's another name for Lucifer? Satan. We could do all kinds of other just bad guy, devil, right? Elder Larson, you gonna say something about that?
I just wanted to say specifically that Isaiah here is talking to a king.
Yeah.
And saying that you're like Lucifer, what you're doing right now.
Yeah, the footnotes help us know that he's speaking of that king, but also tying it into talking about Satan, right? The devil, Lucifer, great accuser, however we want to talk about it. Okay, Ty, keep going.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms?
Okay, what do you guys talk about with that?
We kind of talked about like not being overcome by pride. Staying humble.
Okay, so that's a really cool jump that you made. Do you see pride in this? Right?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to talk about that? Like, where do you see pride in those verses? Yeah, where do you see pride in those verses?
A bit earlier in around verse 4, verse 8, when kind of alluding to some pride that has been had. There's kind of a beat down that happens after verse 4 that all of the tribe of Jacob are going to say to the king of Babylon in the last days, when they're taken up from their place of serving in hard things and put into respite. They're like saying that how evil has the king been? How, like, can we go there?
Yeah. Which verse you want to go to?
I think it's 8. I don't know.
Verse 8, verse 4 is the one that I thought you were going to
The one where it starts.
Yeah.
It says, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, oh, yeah. How hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased.
Yeah. So he's an oppressor, right?
Yeah.
Think about how Satan oppresses people. Did you say that?
Very well.
Yeah, through other people sometimes. Yeah, Dre, were you gonna say something about this?
Yeah, actually, verse 13, because he's speaking as I am Satan. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt myself above the stars of God. I think that really just shows kind of why Lucifer's plan could never have succeeded, is because he always put himself above God. He never, I don't want to say paid glory, but never really recognized that that's where he came from. Kind of understanding like, okay, the only reason why I'm here today is because of you. And I feel like that's where the whole sense of pride came from, is sometimes we forget, oh, I'm still living, I'm still breathing because he has a plan for me, and I can't put myself above him.
Good comment. Yeah, please.
I also love how it specifies, and said in thine heart. And I'm just very grateful that God knows our hearts. Because on the outside, maybe somebody, and he does a lot because he's father of all lies. On the outside, somebody can seem a certain way, but the heart can tell a different story. And our true intentions are known by God. And I'm very grateful for that.
Like that thought. Anybody else want to say something about that? Katya, is this your one comment? You want to say it? Okay, what do you want to say? So you call upon Jesus' powers, right? I like that thought. Anybody else want to say something about those verses there? I got a quote here for you. Let me go down. We'll go past these ones here. There we go. Elder Holland talking about verses kind of like this. I like how he does this. Lane, do you mind reading this one for me nicely? As Lane reads Elder Holland's comments about this, would you just pick out a line or a word that you think Elder Holland chose on purpose and it was an important word for it, okay? Here we go, Lane, if you would.
Satan, or Lucifer, or the father of lies, call him what you will, is real, the very personification of evil. His motives are in every case malicious. He is eternally opposed to the love of God, the atonement of Jesus Christ, and the word of peace and salvation. He will fight against these whenever and wherever he can. He knows he will be defeated and cast out in the end, but he is determined to take down with him as many others as he possibly can.
You just nod like this when you've got a line or a word that you like from that. I thought you were going to get to sit back, right? We got to get the ball in your hands. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of people nodding. This is nodding. I just saw somebody doing this. I don't even know what that means. And really big smiles. Okay, would you just turn back to those people you were talking with? Let's have the person in the group that is the tallest go first. Let's have the tallest person in the group go. Will you just share with the people you're sitting around the line that you liked and why you liked it when it taught you? Ready, set, go. Turn and talk.
I like the second grade.
The person you don't want to. David.
Let's go back together. I'm just gonna, because I can hear some of you guys having some conversations that I thought were interesting. I want to talk about two little words here. Israel. Did anybody talk about that one? Nobody did?
What?
Oh, okay. Did you talk about Israel?
That he's like very real.
Yeah, not Israel. That totally makes sense. That's like, whoa, I didn't see that. Israel. Did you talk about that
We
one?
talked about the whole like sentence itself, but yeah.
Beautiful. Please.
It was just like he's saying that like Satan's not this imaginary person that like we just decided to come up with. He's this very real person who hates our guts. He hates everything about us, and he knows what we did to him. Well, he said like Brandon said he did to himself, but like we helped kick him out, and like he remembers everything we did. We don't remember it, but he remembers it, and he hates us. He wants us to fail.
Why would that be important?
Because we need to know like Satan's like very real, and so we need to be able to like counteract his tactics to be able to come back.
You know, I just have this sneaky suspicion, and maybe you've heard me say something like this before, but I really think if I said to you guys, is Jesus real? You guys would be like, oh yes, let's talk about yes. If I said to you, is Satan real? I think some of you'd be like, well, yeah, but I do dumb things. And I think we almost sometimes forget that he is real, and that he is, just like you said, a big jerk. And that's not even strong enough, right? With this, please, Jeff.
Right. So like, going off of that, if Satan wasn't real, it wouldn't make God and Jesus any more. Like, it would not make them better than anything. You know, they'd still be there, but like you would have no frame of reference.
That's interesting. I think that's a good thought. Other thoughts, please?
I think by knowing he's real, we know what to look for. Like, if we don't know that Satan is real and that he has influence over the world and ourselves as well, we can't look for that influence and counteract it and turn away from it and choose the other path.
I like that thought, Lane.
So tying that to something that stood out to me, kind of in the middle, it says he is eternally opposed to the love of God. And two things that stuck out to me there are eternally and the love. First off, the adversary is going to eternally hate us, and just they're going to be cast out in the end and still want to like make our lives miserable, even though it's pointless. But the love of God is something that was very interesting to think about because it was very vital in at least my mission. And talking about like the reality of the adversary is that feeling loved or knowing you're loved is the first thing the adversary takes. I used to talk to people all the time that were struggling.
Wait. Can I, Lane, I really like where you're going, but I want us to make sure we catch what you just said before you tell us the next part. That line you just said was, the love of God is what he tries to take away first. Okay, I just want us to catch that because I like that thought, and I'm just a slower thinker. I like to think about it. Okay, go ahead, keep going. What are you saying?
And so when I would talk to people that were struggling, I said there's two things that you need to remember and it will save the rest of your life. And I'll testify to anybody about this. It's whose you are and who loves you. Because if you forget that you're a child of God and that God loves you, then the adversary can influence you to do anything else. So that is like the most crucial piece of if you don't feel God's love, then of course you don't care about the atonement because you're worthless and you're never going to feel peace because you're just absorbed by the adversary, and you're never going to be saved because
to talk about what he just talked about?
Yes.
Please.
I was in that same sentence as well, where it says he eternally opposes, but I dropped down to the work of peace and salvation. And for me, like, if you look into the world, what is Satan doing? Destroying the family, destroying the view of God, destroying knowing that we are a child of God. Like, the people who I feel like struggle the most, or the people who fall away and fall into those tactics, are the ones who don't understand the gospel. They don't understand that God loves us, that he created us, and yes, we have issues and we have the ability to choose good and evil, but if they don't understand that Satan is real and that he's trying to turn us away from God and who God is, the rest of it doesn't make sense. Like, he's like destroying the salvation. Like, it literally, we've been told that family is how we'll get exalted.
Like that thought. Let me ask you this. I love the thought, and I love, Blaine, how you took us to this idea that one of the first things is understand that God does love us, that he knows who we are. There was a period of my life where I got to go to girls' camp for 14 years in a row. That's right. It was only for one night, and it was always that leadership night I got to go to, but it was always my favorite thing to do because of the testimony meeting that would happen on that night. And the amount of young women who would stand up and say, I know God knows me, and that he loves me. Can I just ask you this question? Has there been a time in your life where you knew God knew you and loved you? What did that do for you when you knew that God knew you and loved you? If this is what he's trying to get us to not remember, what did it do for you to know that God knew you and loved you? Can you narrow it down to a word or two or three kind of thing of what did it do for you? Destiny?
Strength and hope.
Great words, please.
There's a sense of peace.
Love that. Jesse, please.
It's comforting.
Great word. Trey.
Trust.
Good word, please.
Confidence.
Katya. Kai, like that. Jeff,
Inspiration.
please, brother.
Strength and belief.
Strength and belief. Love that. It does, doesn't it? Please.
Give me a desire to worship.
It's always hard for me to not be like, let's talk more. On a lot of these, I lay this. Kaylee, please.
Quiet Satan.
It's good, Elder.
Sense of worth.
Please, little Larson.
Overflowing with joy.
Please.
Yeah, finding forgiveness.
Those are all amazing, aren't they? And it's the exact opposite of what Satan's trying to do, isn't it? Would you go back to verse 16? Did anybody look at, or I love the end of this, that they shall see him and say, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? I love the just dismissal that will look upon them and be like, really? This is what ripped everybody up? But when you feel the love of God, it does make it so that you see those things, right? Let me ask you this, because time's out here. Can you think about that time that you felt that love of God? What were you doing? Would you just do this? Would you just pull out that place where you keep sacred things? Would you just take a moment in a journal or on your phone, would you just put down when I felt the love of God, and then just go. Just from that little prompt, when I felt the love of God, and will you just start writing? I'm going to give you about 45 seconds or so to just write. Just because my time is little here, can I just get, I don't know, one or two of you to just tell us what you wrote? You can either read it to us, or you can briefly just say what you went to on that. Anybody want to do that for us? Brayden, if you'll do one, then Tyler will do the last one. Will you both just, at the end, make it a little bit of a testimony? And we'll end on Tyler's one. And then, who was giving our closing prayer? Elaine was, thank you. Ken, Brayden, go first.
One time, the most recent I can think of, is I was just at college, trying to think about where I want to go, what I want to do. And the way I found for that to work for me is to present a plan, even if it's not a perfect plan. I'm not a perfect creator. But I presented my little plan of, okay, these are my next couple steps. What do you think? And I just got this feeling of, like, God was proud of me. And he was proud that I'm trying. He knows that I'm not perfect. I know that I'm not perfect. But he wants me to come to him. He wants me to search for the path that he's laying before me. And even though he's only showing me a few steps, sometimes only one or two into the dark, I know that he's there guiding me. And he confirmed that to me in the celestial room, that he is guiding me. I'm not alone, even though sometimes it feels like I'm alone. He never leaves us. He's always watching. He's always waiting for us to ask, so that he can nudge us slightly in the right direction. He's not going to take over, because he wants us to learn. He wants us to fail sometimes, so that we can learn to get back up and come to him and adjust to live more in line with the gospel that he's given us through his son. And I know that Jesus Christ.
Said, when I felt the love of God, I was reflecting, praying, attentive, and listening. It's there, you just have to find it, tune into it, or seek it. I know that the love of God, God's love for us, is what makes him God, for saying our Heavenly Father, and he would cease to be so if he did not love us.